Scottish football very much in the headlines again this week, Chris, as it has been all season long. Let's go back to that Neil Lennon press conference then. He came out swinging, didn't he? Did his tone, did his approach surprise you at all?
I think it did a little bit off the back of what, Peter Lawwell had come out and apologised, and some people across the country don't want to take it as an apology, say that Peter Lawwell didn't mean it. So for Neil to come out, and he did come out swinging, I was taken aback a little bit, and I don't necessarily think that Neil has undermined Peter Lawwell. It's his opinion, but it's strange and sort of sums up Celtic season that they aren't singing off the same hymn sheet. So in that respect, and I thought some of the points he made actually were fair, but to actually try and justify the whole Dubai trip, was absolutely ridiculous from him and unnecessary. And then, of course, it brought a lot of pressure on himself and the team going into the game on Wednesday night.
Ali, your take on it all?
I was very surprised. Listen, Neil's never been one for not saying what he felt or what he believed. I've got to say, I thought that the level of criticism that he came out with was, I was very surprised. I was staggered by it, actually. I thought,
was some of it justified, Ali?
Which parts, Chris?
That's what I'm trying to think myself.
Well, was it a jolly? If you were manager and you'd taken a team out, on a mid-season break, I mean, it was a training camp. Would you be upset if somebody threw that accusation at you?
I think that's maybe the only part of it. I mean, I think where he started to have a go at the government, and all that kind of stuff. Sturgeon was getting it, Margaret Ferrier was getting it for getting up and down the train. I think he kind of lost it a little bit there, to be quite honest with you. The word jolly, to the outsiders, I can understand them and a little bit upset. I would use the word jolly, even though it's probably the wrong term to use. You know what I mean, Chris? We would say, we're going for a mid-season jolly.
Well, a jolly's a booze up, isn't it? A jolly is... come on. No, may not be in Scotland. It is down south here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say it is, because we went in a few mid-season, and we would call them jollies as such. But I get it. I get the wording of it isn't good. I get that. I think perhaps that is the only maybe avenue that Neil had. I can't really think of him anywhere else. I mean, he's kind of. I think he has kind of contradicted Peter Lawwell, Chris, and one or two of the newspapers.
What do you mean? What do you mean contradicted Peter Lawwell? Because that's listen. I don't think the trip was a good idea. But if that's his opinion, and somebody asks him a question, is he not entitled to give his opinion?
Of course he is. 100% he is. Absolutely. But we're talking. He's 100%. He's entitled to his opinion. But we are talking about what his opinion is. I just felt looking at it, Chris, and you know Neil a lot better than me. I just felt it was a kind of built-up tension, emotion, anger, rage.
Yeah.
And this was it coming out.
This is his last stand, isn't it? There's an argument that this shouldn't be his last stand. He should have gone. I think that, back in November, after the Ross County defeat, I thought that was when, it came to a point where it was untenable, really, for Neil to carry on. He has carried on, is in the position. He's been at the club as a player, as a manager for however many years. And I can understand the fact that he doesn't want to let go. The issue is he doesn't have any support anymore, other than seemingly Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond. And of course, they are the most important people they're his employers. They're the most important people in this whole situation. But this isn't going to last. And we have to ask ourselves, why Celtic. Peter Lawwell promised that they'd readdress the situation in January, and Celtic haven't done that. I think he said they were going to do it at the start of January. We are now moving towards the end of January, and something has to give.
I mean, is implosion too strong a word at Celtic Park, Chris? I mean, is that too strong a word? I'm actually not sure it is, to be honest. I'm staggered at what's happening. Just the whole thing.
If you were Neil Lennon, Ali, Ali, would you walk away? That's what
no
the fans
chance.
want. Would you walk?
No chance. Not until I had a good conversation with my bosses and I was happy with the conversation. There's no way. Why should he? He's right, by the way, what he said. He's won 5 out of the last 6 trophies, so that we can, let's get a couple of things straight here. But at the same time, the level of implosion has surprised, staggered everybody. I mean, I read Big John Hartson coming out, and this is one of the problems that the Celtic support have, and indeed Celtic Football Club have. Big John came out and he said that he thought 10 in a row was a certainty, right? I think that was the word he used, certainty. Now, how do you recover from that? If you think something's a certainty, something that's as important to you as a certainty, and then it just disappears, this is the problem. Everybody involved with Celtic is genuinely and understandably really struggling to come to terms with what's happened this year in terms of their attempt for 10, which is still alive, by the way. I mean, you guys will all deny it, but as yet, Rangers haven't won anything. But you would
how are you keeping a straight
He's not committing.
face?
He's not committing.
Really?
And what about that question, by the way, Chris? I mean, Ali coined the phrase. He doesn't do walking away, for goodness sakes. Can I just put it in the perspective of Neil Lennon for a minute? He came back to Celtic, Ali, at a time where they needed him. He was in another good job. He came back in mid-season, led them on to 9 in a row and more. Why would he walk away? Is he not well within his right to hold his ground right now?
absolutely, of course he is. 100% he is. Listen, the first thing you do, it's the same as any player, by the way. The first thing you do in any job, in any walk of life, and I've said it since I was a wee boy. If you look to sign a contract, the first thing you should look to do is honour that contract. Doesn't matter whether the contract's a month, 2 years, 50 years. The reason you sign it is because you're happy with it, right? Both parties are happy with it. So you should honour. That's how footballers sometimes, they genuinely do annoy me, because they sign a 5-year contract and then somebody arrives at the club after 18 months and they know what money's on and they want the same money as him. And it shouldn't be the case, because they were happy to sign the contract at the time. So Neil has signed a contract, and unless somebody wants to end that contract, why should he walk away?
Do you know what? If I was in this situation, I would walk away, and I would walk away, and I'm, Neil's my friend, but Neil's legacy at Celtic as a player and as a manager, I think he's done great things for the club. But and he was a big fans' favourite, and he had a connection with the fans because he never gave up on the pitch, and I can understand his thought process at the moment, because I still think there'll be something in the bottom of his stomach where he feels that he can turn this situation around. The fact of the matter is he doesn't have any support. But because of what he's achieved as a player and as a manager at the club, I don't want in years to come for Neil Lennon to be remembered for being obstinate and awkward at this moment in time, and some fans will see this, this period that Neil is damaging the club. So that's what I wouldn't like in years to come.
Yeah,
the way for people to see him and be portrayed. So on that basis, if I was in his shoes, I would actually walk away because of that.
Season tickets are going to be renewed soon as well. Maybe that's a point when it comes. Is that March
that
happens? What if they don't get renewed?
And and that's an interesting one, because the truth is for argument's sake, COVID clears up and there are 60,000 fans in at the first game of the season. They're not going to want Neil Lennon in place. There isn't the belief anymore, and that's Neil's biggest problem. And when you and it's not just one thing this season. It is numerous things you chuck into the mix, and it's been, you can't get away from the fact, and it's not just Neil's fault, by the way, but it's been an absolute disaster.
I tell you what, I'm on it. I agree with you. I do agree with you, but I think the only way Neil should walk, and Neil will know, is if he loses belief. That's it. Two things. if he loses belief and he thinks it's affect, and the second thing, and more importantly than the first thing, if it starts affecting his health, that's when he's got to walk. No doubt about it. That is when he has to walk. And only Neil will know both those things.
What he could have done with, though, of course, Chris, is after coming out swinging in the press conference, is a really good performance in 3 points, getting most of his players back to take on Livingston in what were awful conditions at the end of the match, by the way, we should add. Not easy to win on that pitch at the end, but regardless, a Livingston team that made 7 changes still to come away again with just a point, Chris. It's the last thing they needed.
Yeah, Livingston reserves. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, it's just gone from bad to worse, hasn't it, the season? It wasn't a good performance. It wasn't an easy pitch. I'm not making excuses. You know, I mean, remarkable game. Little things like I still haven't seen Barkas make a save this season.
He's not made one in 2021.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely sort of remarkable. But are we not at the stage where this is Groundhog Day for Neil Lennon, Groundhog Day for Peter Law, Groundhog Day for Celtic?
Yeah, nothing's obviously going their way at the moment, Ali. And then the other side of it, Rangers playing in the league this weekend against Ross County, and they can go 23 points clear again, having not beaten Motherwell last week and maybe not been at their best themselves in that match.
Offside goal.
A game where they can extend the lead. Offside goal. Yeah, there was one midweek as well, perhaps.
Chris reckons it was an offside goal. I don't think it certainly wasn't just as offside as near beatings. But
it wasn't as offside, I'll give you that.
No, you're spot on. You're they weren't at their best. In fact, I thought they were bang average first half against Motherwell, and probably got what they deserved. I did mention to you, I saw Motherwell against St Mirren the week before, and I thought first half again they were good. They were actually very, very good. And I was happy with their pairing. The boys I mentioned up front, Watt and Devante Cole, are lively enough. You know, they're aggressive enough. They can pose problems. And I think they will continue to do that. Cole got another goal, his second goal. The problem they've got, they couldn't see it out. But isn't it amazing, we spoke about it before, how sometimes different players seem to do well and score goals against different clubs. And of course, Cedric Etienne comes in and gets the equaliser for Rangers with a good back post header. So, you know, in normal circumstances, if you take a step back, a point at Motherwell was not a disaster.
Do you think Rangers will go unbeaten this season in the league? Do you think they'll be the new Invincibles?
That's a big ask, that. I mean, that is a big, big ask. There's a lot of things to take in. If they win at Easter Road
on Wednesday, if it's still going after next Wednesday, Ali, by next Friday, will you be closer to saying there's a good chance?
I will be. If Rangers beat Ross County and beat Hibs, I don't want to make rash predictions, but you might hear one from me next Friday. Listen, it's a big ask, and if you ask Steven Gerrard, he will not be interested in invincibility. He'll just want the title.
It's Ross County next to Ibrox. Ali, I get the feeling you really enjoy listening to Yogi talk about football.
You know, he's just one of these guys. His enthusiasm, his personality, he's charismatic, everything. He's just a great guy to be around. And it's not just as simple as that, but that is one of the things that the Ross County boys will be enjoying right now. Clearly, he has to be a good coach and he has to know his football, which he does, right? He does. But added to the personality, he's getting a little bit of a tune, as you would expect initially, out this Ross County side. And as you say, Darryl, 2 fantastic results, you know, not just, you know, this weren't against, you know, teams that you maybe you'd expect them to beat or say they have a better chance to beat. You're talking about teams, particularly Hibs at Easter Road, and giving Aberdeen for it to Dingwall. Brilliant results. So, and he's doing the usual big Yogi. He's telling Steven Gerrard how good his Rangers team are, how much he's enjoying to watch them, and saying, wow, Steven, what a job you're doing. Meanwhile, he'll be sitting going like that. He'll be plotting the downfall of Rangers. Don't you worry about that, boys. Don't you worry. He ain't pulling the wool over my eyes, big Yogi.